Hello, everybody, and welcome to Speak Up Podcasts in English.
This program is designed for English learners, so we speak a little slower and we use words and phrases specially written for people learning English.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Speak Up Podcasts in English.
Hello. This week on Ask a Teacher, we answer a question from Emmanuel in France about how to know if an expression is still popular in English. Question: Dear teacher, sometimes when I am reading or watching the older films, I find some interesting expressions, but I do not know if the people are speaking them nowadays. How can I figure this out? Thank you. Emmanuel.
Answer: I'm happy to answer this question, Emmanuel. It can sometimes be very difficult for learners of English to know if a word or expression sounds like it belongs to an earlier time. For example, if you watch an older American film from the 1930s, you might hear the expression, "Gee, that's swell." The expression, "that's swell," means that something is good and that the speaker is pleased. But nowadays, people do not commonly say that. And if they do say it, they are probably saying it in a joking way because they know the expression is rare and not currently used.
Here are some ways to help you find out if an expression belongs to an earlier time. Language exchange partners. Find a native English language partner. Then you can ask him or her if expressions are no longer used very much. Our VO Day Learning English article, 5 Tips for Great Language Exchanges, gives advice on how you can do a language exchange. Note, however, that native English speakers can have different opinions about what expressions are still popular. That is because people in different age groups use different expressions. For example, a 20-year-old person might not even know a few of the expressions that older people still use. And some older people do not know expressions that young people, such as teenagers, use. Also, some older people might not even know that expressions they use are becoming less popular over time.
Using a corpus and dictionaries. You can also use technology to get more information about expressions. Language researchers have collected over 1 billion words in the corpus of contemporary American English. The examples come from American printed writing, video, and sound recordings. You can use COCA to get information about how often an expression is used. It will not tell you if an expression sounds out of date, but an expression might be rarely used because it sounds old.
This Learning English Education Tips article gives information on how to use COCA. Lastly, dictionaries will show if a word belongs to an earlier time by putting the word archaic before its definition. Remember that it is more important to understand idiomatic expressions than to be able to use them. That's because you can always express your ideas without using idioms in simple language.
For our readers and listeners, what are your questions about American English? We want to hear from you. Leave your comments and like us. Help us create a great community to help a lot more people to learn English.
And that's Ask a Teacher. I'm Richard, your today's tutor. See you soon.
And now, let's begin our podcast with the section Words and Their Stories from Speak Up Learning English Podcasts.
Food is a popular subject with many people around the world. It is fun to talk about our favorite dishes. It is even more fun to share a favorite dish with others.
Today, we talk about the word dish. A dish can be the object on which you serve food, but a dish can also mean a specially prepared food.
Do you have a signature dish? Our signature is how we sign our names. So a signature dish is a dish we are known for making well. In a way, it identifies us.
My signature dish is sweet potato rosemary dinner rolls. I am often asked to make them, especially for holiday parties. In my circle of friends, I am known for this dish. When the rolls are on the table, people know that I made them.
A tasty dish is something that makes a table look good and inviting. Sometimes the same can be said about a person. Someone who is good-looking can be called a dish. While this usage might be a bit dated, it is still used.
Now, let's talk about the verb to dish.
To dish can mean to talk about private or personal information. It might be gossip. But I can also dish about myself. For example, a friend may ask me to dish about my new job.
I could also use a phrasal verb form and say, my friend want me to dish out all the interesting details.
Now, to dish up something means to put food on a dish for someone to eat. However, it can also mean sharing personal details, our own and others.
We can also dish out things like jokes or even insults.
Some people like to tease or insult. They can dish out jokes and insults all day long. But sometimes these same people do not like it if you do the same to them.
We have a saying for just such people. We say, they can dish it out, but they can't take it. They are able and willing to share harsh thoughts, criticisms, or insults about others, but they do not think they, themselves, deserve such treatment.
And that's all for today in Words and Their Stories. Hope you enjoyed, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We are eager to have you here with us.
Until next time, glad to have you here with us.
Hello, we are excited to show you our news about health and lifestyle.
And the headline is, Cancer Deaths Hit Alarming Surge Due to Common Health Condition. Listen to the experts and get your own conclusions about this concerning topic. They also say this, obesity-related cancer deaths have more than tripled in U.S. over the last 2 decades.
After this report, we'll present you, we have an interview with a doctor explaining the causes of children's obesity epidemic related to this issue. Senior medical analyst Dr. Mark Siegel weighs in on the MAHA Commission's report on chronic disease rates in children and explains what is contributing to the obesity epidemic. So stay tuned and let's listen to this news report.
Obesity-related cancer deaths have soared in the U.S. over the last 2 decades, rising from 3.73 million to 13.52 million. That's according to a study by researchers at Jersey Shore University Medical Center and Hackensack Meridian Health, which was presented last month at ENDO 2025, the Endocrine Society's annual meeting in San Francisco. The study analyzed more than 33,000 deaths from obesity-associated cancers between 1999 and 2020, using mortality data from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Popular weight loss medication could relieve painful arthritis symptoms, doctors report. Older adults, females, and racial minorities were found to have a higher burden of risk. Overall, the Midwest had the highest rate of obesity-related cancer deaths, and the Northeast had the lowest.
Vermont, Minnesota, and Oklahoma had the highest rates, and Utah, Alabama, and Virginia had the lowest. According to the CDC, more than 40% of Americans have obesity, which raises the risk of developing certain cancers, as well as other chronic conditions like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, heart disease, and kidney disease. Obesity has been associated with a higher risk of developing 13 types of cancer, which make up 40% of all cancers diagnosed in the U.S. every year.
Weight loss drugs' impact on cancer risk is revealed in a new study, says the report. These cancer types include the following:
Adenocarcinoma of the esophagus,
breast in postmenopausal women,
colon and rectum,
uterus,
gallbladder,
upper stomach,
kidneys,
liver,
ovaries,
pancreas,
thyroid,
meningioma.
multiple myeloma.
Study co-author Mohammed Bakr, MD, Associate Director of Hackensack Meridian Jersey Shore University Medical Center's residency program, confirmed that obesity-related cancer mortality has more than tripled in the U.S.
The sharpest surge occurred between 2018 and 2020, according to Bakr. This research underscores the need for targeted public health strategies, such as early screening and improved access to care, especially in high-risk rural and underserved areas.
Your DNA could be stopping you from losing weight, new study suggests. Obesity is a serious public health threat, and the link between obesity and cancer is a crisis that should be addressed with the same urgency as other epidemics.
Dr. Robert Den, radiation oncologist and chief medical officer at Alpha Tau Medical in Massachusetts, told that there is a concerning rise in these cancers, particularly colorectal, endometrial, pancreatic, and postmenopausal breast cancer. Alarmingly, these cancers are increasing not only in older adults, but also in younger patients, a trend we didn't see a generation ago, he said, who was not involved in the study. These cancers tend to be more aggressive, harder to treat, and costly to manage, he added. The sheer number of people at risk, combined with the rising obesity rates, means we're looking at increased cancer burdens on individuals, families, and healthcare systems.
Let's give some strategies for prevention. Promoting healthy body weight through a balanced diet, regular physical activity, and less alcohol consumption are important steps toward reducing cancer risk, according to Den, as well as cancer screenings and early intervention.
As physicians, we advocate for broader public health efforts, like better nutrition education, access to healthier foods and environments that support active living, he said. Additionally, new technologies and therapies represent a novel paradigm for the management of these diseases. Preventing obesity is cancer prevention, and taking proactive steps now can improve long-term health outcomes across the population.
Sue Dakotas, MD, a medical weight loss doctor in New York City, noted in a separate interview with Fox News Digital that the use of obesity and diabetes drugs like GLP-1 medications has been associated with reducing cancer risk. It is one of the most impactful medical advancements we have had in a very long time.
According to the doctor, angry, inflamed fat cells, called cytokines, are produced in large amounts in obese individuals, which can bully and override the body's normal regulations, often leading to immune disruption and cancer. In addition to early cancer screenings, Dakotas recommends weight loss as a critical way to reduce risk. Shedding extra pounds can help reduce inflammation in the body by reducing cytokines, which also prevents cancers, she said.
It seems more prudent to aggressively treat obesity and insulin resistance, as well as clean up our food supply, instead of waiting for cancer to develop and hoping we can catch it and successfully treat it. Take the state of being overweight and obese seriously, Dakotas advised. If weight is not reduced by diet and exercise, I recommend seeing a certified weight loss physician.
Well, it seems serious, but we are going to follow these advices and put them into practice.
For sure. And that's all about this report. See you on our next section of the Speak Up Learning English podcasts.
And in the sequence, you will listen to the report on this article. Hope you can understand the spoken English. Let's go.
This report is a fresh new approach that really calls for a transformation of our healthcare system from a reactionary system to a proactive system. There are no sacred cows. It talks about 70% of the diet being ultra-processed. It talks about pesticides, microplastics, natural light exposure in children. Yeah, sleep quality. I remember Republican, Democrat, and Independent mom showed up in high numbers to vote for President Trump over this very issue.
That's the new FDA Commissioner, Dr. Marty Makary, on the new report from the Make America Healthy Again Commission. RFK Jr. has called the chronic diseases plaguing Americans an epidemic, especially among our children. The report finds likely causes of the crisis include an over-reliance on ultra-processed foods, exposure to food additives and pesticides, a lack of exercise, widespread chronic stress, and a growing dependence on prescriptions and vaccines. It's Dr. Mark Siegel. Dr. Siegel, I know you've taken a look at the report. What do you think about it?
I agree with Dr. Makary's statement that you just put up, that it's a reactive healthcare system. Here's how you tie it all together. Kids get sick, and then they end up on medications that they might not need otherwise if they were healthy to begin with. That's what he means by reactive. It's a sick care system with over 20%, over 1/5 of all kids obese right now. Now, how did they get there, John? They got there by being sedentary, where the majority of teens, for example, have less than an hour per day of activity. Used to be the whole day was activity, right? Sleep disturbance is a huge problem among our teens. Loneliness, anxiety, not eating right. Makary says 70% are eating ultra-processed foods. He's right about that, and the report puts that in there. But what do we mean by ultra-processed foods? We're talking about addiction to sugar, addiction to food coloring and additives, empty calories, stuff that's addictive. So it's hard to get off of this stuff, and you start to get used to it. Again, no sleep, stress, anxiety, eating poorly. And then once you have the obesity epidemic, once you're obese, you're at a high risk of things like diabetes, high blood pressure, things that I have to treat in the doctor's office. How am I supposed to treat this? I end up treating it with medications that kids might not otherwise need.
Well, that is one of the report findings from the Make America Healthy Again report, and I want to put them on screen for our viewers. Poor diet and ultra-processed foods you've touched on. More than one in 5 children over the age of 6 are considered obese. 1 in 31 diagnosed with autism. And then cancers spiked 40% since 1975. To what do you attribute that? That's an alarming rise in childhood cancers, doctor.
That's really terrible. And I think some of that is due to the obesity, lack of activity. Some of it is due to the stuff in their foods. Some of it is due to what's in the environment. 40,000 chemicals are in the environment. Another thing I like about the MAHA report is it's saying we have to do precision toxicology studies to figure out exactly what's in the environment that actually leads to poor health outcomes. It's also directly linked to attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. I mentioned anxiety and depression. Kids end up with anxiety, and we're talking about 10% of our kids are diagnosed with ADHD, and then they may end up on medications they don't need. So again, it's environmental chemicals combined with what's in the food, combined with sedentary behavior, high stress, not enough sleep.
A couple of states are taking steps to, try to improve the health, especially of their children, by banning soda and junk food through SNAP benefits, basically food stamps, as I understand it. Nebraska and Iowa, 2 good heartland states, are going to try that, and others are considering a ban. Those are the yellow states that you see there, from Montana down to Texas and over to West Virginia. What do you think about that move, Doctor?
Including, by the way, in there, Iowa and Indiana. What I like about that move is I like it also with a slight word of caution. I like that Nebraska is doing it as a trial program. Here's the word of caution. I said the word addiction. When you eat this ultra-processed food, it changes brain chemicals. What are we going to replace it with? I think we need to incentivize those states, because 1 out of 5 children in these states are eating this food, are eating this ultra-processed food, and it's in the school lunches too. So we need to incentivize healthier food to replace it with more vegetables, more salads. Even in Arkansas, they have rotisserie chicken. That's certainly healthier than candy bars and soda. So we need to look carefully at what we're going to feed our kids. And by the way, once kids eat tastier food that's healthier for them, that's what they're going to get used to. That's what they're going to look for when they go to school.
It's a huge challenge, and let's hope we can get our hands around it. Dr. Mark Siegel, thank you.
And now, let's go to our article section. In this article, you'll hear about sports. This report is called A New Olympic Sport, Flag Football.
As dynamic as American football, but with virtually no risk of injury, this sport is growing in popularity around the world.
Now listen carefully and try to understand the new vocabulary. Are you ready?
Let's begin. Read and listen.
American football is known for causing debilitating head injuries, mostly from players tackling each other, an unfortunate trend that inspired the 2015 biographical sports drama Concussion, starring Will Smith. Perhaps this is why the non-contact version of American football, flag football, has become so popular in recent years. Growing in popularity worldwide, flag football is to make its debut at the next Olympics, which takes place in Los Angeles, California, in the summer of 2028. In flag football, just like in American football, two teams compete to score points by moving the ball down the field into the other team's end zone. However, unlike in American football, in flag football, the players wear flags on their waist, and instead of tackling each other, they try to pull the flag of the player with the ball to stop them. So while American football is a high-impact contact sport, the contact between players in flag football is very limited, and so the risk of injury is significantly reduced. Flag football was originally played on U.S. military bases during World War II. Originally known as touch and tail football, it began as a recreational sport for Army personnel as a means to remain active while not risking the injuries associated with American football. The first known game of flag football was at Fort Meade in Maryland, which is now considered the birthplace of the sport. After the war, flag football continued to be played on U.S. military bases and soon caught on among civilians living across the U.S. The National Flag Football Association was formed in 1971 to govern the sport in the U.S., and the International Federation of American Football, IFAF, oversees the sport internationally since 2002. According to the IFAF, flag football is played by more than 20 million people in more than 100 countries, and will soon become more popular than American football. The sport debuted at the 2022 World Games, an international multi-sport competition including non-Olympic sports, and will be played at this summer's World Games in Chengdu, China. Both male and female teams will compete for the first time at the 2028 Olympics, and flag football will be introduced to millions more sports fans, contributing to its popularity.
After listening to the report, it is time to review some points. In this activity, you will discuss and compare American football with the traditional football, or soccer, played in your own country. The exercise is designed to help you explore the key differences between these two popular sports, from their rules and gameplay to their physical demands and cultural significance. You will also analyze which sport you believe is more dangerous, considering factors like injuries, player safety, and the nature of contact in each game. By reflecting on these questions with a partner, you'll not only improve your conversational skills, but also deepen your understanding of how sports vary across cultures.
Let's begin by sharing what you already know about American football and how it contrasts with the football you're familiar with. Then, we'll debate which sport poses greater risks to players and why. Ready? Let's get started.
1. What is the cause of the most serious injuries during American football matches?
The most severe injuries in American football typically result from high-impact tackles and collisions between players. These dangerous moments often lead to concussions, spinal injuries, and long-term brain damage such as CTE, chronic traumatic encephalopathy. Unlike sports with minimal contact, American football encourages physical clashes, making protective gear essential, though it doesn't eliminate risks entirely.
Which film highlighted the risks to players of American football?
The 2015 film Concussion, starring Will Smith, exposed the dangers of American football. It dramatized the real-life discovery of CTE in NFL players and the sport's attempts to downplay the risks. The movie helped raise public awareness about head injuries and player safety.
What future event indicates the growing popularity of flag football?
Flag football will debut as an official Olympic sport at the 2028 Los Angeles Games, signaling its rapid growth. This milestone reflects its appeal as a safer, more accessible alternative to traditional American football, especially for younger athletes.
Where do players wear their flags?
Players attach their flags to a belt around their waist. Instead of tackling, defenders must pull a flag to stop the play, reducing physical contact significantly.
Why is the risk of injury in flag football much lower than in American football?
Flag football minimizes injuries by replacing tackles with flag pulls, eliminating harsh collisions. Without heavy protective gear, players focus on speed and agility rather than brute force, cutting risks like concussions or fractures.
What was flag football called at first?
Originally, it was known as touch and tail, a playful term emphasizing its non-contact rules. Over time, the name evolved to flag football as the flag-pulling mechanic became standard.
Why was it the ideal sport for Army personnel?
Military members adopted flag football because it kept them physically fit without injury risks that could compromise their duties. Its teamwork and strategy mirrored combat training, minus the danger of sidelining injuries.
How does its popularity compare with that of American football?
According to the International Federation of American Football, or IFAF, flag football is gaining faster participation rates, especially among youth and women. While traditional football still dominates in the U.S., flag football's Olympic inclusion suggests it could surpass the contact version globally.
What do you know about American football?
American football is a highly strategic and physically demanding sport that dominates sports culture in the United States. Unlike many other team sports, it is characterized by short bursts of intense action followed by pauses as teams regroup and plan their next moves. The game is played between two teams of 11 players, each with specialized roles, such as the quarterback who orchestrates the offense or linebackers who aggressively defend against the opposing team's advances. Players wear extensive protective gear, including helmets and shoulder pads, because the sport involves heavy contact, with tackles and collisions being a fundamental part of gameplay. Scoring happens in various ways, most notably through touchdowns, where a player carries or catches the ball in the opponent's end zone, or field goals, where the ball is kicked through upright goalposts. The sport is deeply embedded in American tradition, with events like the Super Bowl drawing massive audiences and becoming cultural spectacles beyond just the game itself.
What's the difference between American football and the football played in your country?
The most obvious difference between American football and the football played in most other countries, commonly known as soccer, is the way the ball is handled. In soccer, players primarily use their feet to control and pass the ball, with only the goalkeeper permitted to use their hands. In contrast, American football revolves around throwing, catching, and carrying the oval-shaped ball, making it much more hands-on sport. The pacing of the games also differs significantly. Soccer is fluid, with continuous play interrupted only by fouls or goals, while American football is segmented into plays, with frequent stops between downs. Additionally, the physicality varies greatly. Soccer involves running, dribbling, and occasional collisions, but American football is built around planned, high-impact tackles and blocks. The scoring systems are distinct as well. Soccer awards 1 point per goal, whereas American football has a more complex structure, with touchdowns, field goals, and extra points contributing to the final score.
Which do you think is more dangerous? Why?
When comparing the dangers of American football and soccer, American football stands out as the more hazardous sport due to its inherent violence and high injury rates. The very nature of the game encourages forceful tackles and collisions, which frequently lead to concussions, spinal injuries, and long-term neurological conditions like chronic traumatic encephalopathy, CTE. Despite the use of helmets and padding, the repetitive impacts take a severe toll on players' bodies, with studies showing alarming rates of brain trauma among professional athletes. Soccer, while not without risks, tends to result in fewer catastrophic injuries. The most common issues in soccer are muscle strains, ligament tears, such as ACL injuries, and occasional concussions from headers or collisions. However, the absence of constant high-velocity tackles makes soccer comparatively less dangerous in terms of immediate physical harm. That said, both sports require caution. Soccer players face wear and tear from relentless running, while American football players risk acute trauma every time they step onto the field. Ultimately, the structured violence of American football makes it the more dangerous of the two.
Wow. I think this questionnaire will give you much new information about the topic we listened. Do you have any other questions about it? Let us know here in the commentary section. But before you go on, we have some more questions for you.
Oh, cool. Let's listen to them.
Do you play football?
Yes, I do play football, both the traditional kind, which most of the world calls soccer, and occasionally American football with friends. Football is a huge part of my life because it's not just about competition, it's about teamwork, strategy, and staying active. I love the adrenaline of a close match and the camaraderie with my teammates. That said, I've had to be careful because injuries can happen, especially in more physical versions of the game. Whether it's a casual kickabout or an organized league, football teaches discipline and perseverance, which are valuable lessons on and off the field.
If so, have you ever been injured while playing?
Unfortunately, yes. Last year, I sprained my ankle during a soccer match when I landed awkwardly after a jump. It was painful and I had to sit out for a few weeks while recovering. I've also seen friends get more serious injuries like concussions in American football or knee ligament tears from sudden twists. Injuries are a harsh reality in sports, which is why proper warm-ups, protective gear, and following safety rules are so important. My ankle injury taught me that even a small mistake can have consequences. So now I always pay attention to my body's limits.
What other sports can be considered dangerous?
Many sports carry risks, but some of the most dangerous include rugby, boxing, ice hockey, and extreme sports like rock climbing or BMX racing. Rugby and hockey involve heavy physical contact, leading to fractures or concussions. Boxing is brutal by design. Fighters risk brain trauma with every match. Then there are extreme sports where a single error can be life-threatening. For example, free solo climbers scale cliffs without ropes, and one slip could be fatal. Even cheerleading, which people might not expect, has high injury rates due to complex aerial stunts. Essentially, any sport with high speed, heights, or collisions can be dangerous.
And why do you think some people are attracted to extreme sports?
People are drawn to extreme sports for thrills, personal challenges, and even the fame that comes with pushing boundaries. The adrenaline rush from, say, skydiving or big wave surfing is addictive. It's a natural high that everyday life rarely offers. For others, it's about conquering fear or proving something to themselves. Social media also plays a role. Daredevils gain followers by performing jaw-dropping stunts. But there's a deeper psychology too. Some athletes say extreme sports make them feel truly alive, as the stakes force them to focus entirely on the moment. Of course, the risks are real, which is why preparation and respect for the sport are non-negotiable.
And that's all for now. Let's go on to our next section on the Speak Up Learning English podcast.
We have much more material for you. Stay tuned.
Speak Up, your English Fluency Lab. From stumbling to streaming, science-backed hacks to speak English naturally. Welcome back to Speak Up. Today's question hits home. Why do I understand Netflix shows but freeze in real conversations? If that's you, you're not alone. Over 60% of English learners struggle with speaking anxiety. But guess what? Our brains are wired to adapt. We just need the right tools. Jamie, back me up. Absolutely, Alex. Neuroscience shows speaking activates your motor cortex. It's a physical skill, like tennis. You wouldn't learn tennis by just watching Wimbledon, right? So let's break down 4 lab-tested methods to rewire your brain for fluent speech. First up, freeze stealing. Phrase stealing sounds shady, but it's genius. Stop memorizing single words. Instead, harvest chunks natives use daily. Example, instead of I think, grab from where I stand from Obama speeches, or that's a good point, but from TED Talks. Jamie, why chunks? Because our brains store language in patterns, not dictionaries. A 2023 Cambridge study found learners using chunks spoke 40% faster with fewer errors. Real-world hack, use youglish.com. Type a phrase like, I'm on the fence. It shows you 500 plus video clips of real people saying it in context. Mimic their rhythm. Alex, you tried this, right? Totally. I practiced long story short from a Stranger Things interview, used it in a meeting last week, felt like a boss. Pro tip, steal from content you love. K-pop fans steal from BTS's UN speeches. Gamers steal from Fortnite streamers like Ninja. Make it addictive. Segment 2, shadowing your 5-minute daily gym. Next is shadowing, not just repeating, echoing rhythm, pitch, and pauses, but ditch boring audiobooks. Use bite-sized content. Try Instagram Reels from Hadar Shemesh. She breaks down wanna versus want to in 20 seconds, or YouTube Shorts from BBC Learning English. Love this. Here's your challenge. Go to YouTube, English, Connected Speech playlist. Play a 1-minute clip, listen once, then play again and talk over Emma, matching her flow. Use headphones. Apps like Elsa Speak give instant pronunciation scores. I shadowed a Priyanka Chopra interview to nail question intonation. You're from India versus you're from India. Science bonus, shadowing boosts muscle memory. A Tokyo University study found 5 minutes a day for 4 weeks improved vowel clarity by 30%. Start at 0.75x speed if needed. Time for real talk. You must embrace awkwardness. Fluency isn't about perfection, it's about connection. So let's normalize micro failures. Apps like HelloTalk or Tandem let you send 30-second voice notes to native speakers. No pressure. Exactly. Stanford researchers call this low-stakes practice. One user messaged us, I practiced ordering bubble tea daily via Tandem with a Malaysian partner. In 2 weeks, I did it in real life without stuttering. Key, focus on micro skills. One chat is mastering greetings. Next is reacting naturally, like no way or seriously. And if apps scare you, talk to AI. ChatGPT's voice feature role plays job interviews. Or try Vocaro. Record yourself answering, what's your go-to comfort food? Listen back. Did you say 10 times? No shame. Now you know. Finally, targeted self-review. Record yourself weekly answering questions like, describe your favorite childhood memory. Use free tools like otter.ai transcribe speech. Scan for filler words like like or actually, you know? See a pattern? Weaponize transitions. Swap for well or interestingly. Or if you sound monotone, mimic expressiveness. Watch a Jimmy Fallon monologue. Note how his pitch spikes on key words like unbelievable. Apps like Speechify even let you slow down celebrity speeches. I practiced Ryan Reynolds' sarcastic tone for, oh, fantastic, game changer for meetings. Data point, learners who self-reviewed twice a week improved clarity 3 times faster, Journal of Applied Language. Recap. 1. Steal phrases, youglish.com. 2. Shadow daily, English. 3. Fail micro, HelloTalk. 4. Review ruthlessly, otter.ai.
Your homework is shadow one 60-second clip today and DM us your hashtag #SpeakUpWin.
Remember, fluency is a journey, not a switch. Even Adele practices vocal warm-ups. Next week, how Taylor Swift's lyrics can teach you storytelling. Until then, speak bravely, make mistakes, and own your voice.
Thanks for tuning in. Rate us on Spotify if this helped. Speak Up is produced in New York City. I'm Alex.
And I'm Jamie. Keep speaking.
Why dentists say you shouldn't rinse after brushing. Is it true that you shouldn't rinse after brushing your teeth? Viral TikTok videos have challenged the way many people brush their teeth. Their advice? Brush your teeth with a fluoride-containing toothpaste and spit. But don't rinse. Dental experts agree. They recommend brushing at least twice a day with a fluoride-containing toothpaste to help prevent cavities. And they say skipping the rinse after brushing allows the fluoride to stay on the teeth, providing added protection. Those who prefer to rinse should rinse lightly with a small amount of water, such as a sip from the hand, or delay the rinse by about 20 minutes, said Brittany Seymour, a spokeswoman for the American Dental Association, ADA, and an associate professor at Harvard School of Dental Medicine. A 1999 study of more than 2,800 teenagers, age 15 and 16, in the United Kingdom, found that those who rinsed with a cup of water after brushing had an average of almost 4 decayed, missing, or filled teeth, compared with about 3 for those who did not rinse at all. Those who rinsed with less water, for example from their hand, had about 3.62 bad teeth. Skipping the rinse is not essential for people with healthy teeth, but those who eat a high-sugar diet or are prone to cavities may need extra help from the fluoride, said Margarita Fontana, a professor at the University of Michigan School of Dentistry. When you rinse, you are basically rinsing away the active ingredients of the toothpaste that you just put on your teeth, she said. Another option for those who want to rinse after brushing is to follow up with a mouthwash containing fluoride, Fontana said. Dental plaque is covered with certain acid-producing bacteria that, with help from a sugar-rich diet and poor oral hygiene, can cause cavities. Fluoride, a mineral, helps prevent cavities by protecting the teeth, primarily by helping to replace minerals that have been lost from the protective enamel and to reduce the amount of minerals the enamel loses. While fluoride is essential for protecting teeth, ingesting excessive amounts may increase the risk of fluoride toxicity. Ingesting too much fluoride over an extended period during tooth development in early childhood can cause white spots to form on the permanent teeth, a cosmetic condition called fluorosis, but it is usually mild in the United States. Dental experts say the amount of fluoride that would be left on your teeth after brushing is safe, though children should always be supervised when brushing to make sure they do not ingest too much of it. What else you should know? The same brushing habits are suggested for children. Fluoride-containing toothpaste is recommended as soon as they cut their teeth. For children younger than 3, caregivers should brush the teeth with a smear of toothpaste the size of a grain of rice, and those aged 3 to 6 should be given no more than a pea-size amount, according to the ADA and the American Academy of Pediatric Dentistry, AAPD. Then parents and caregivers should have their children spit out as much as possible to avoid swallowing it, but keep the remaining fluoride on their children's teeth to help protect against cavities, said Scott Cashin, a pediatric dentist and president of the AAPD. We recommend that they spit it out but try not to rinse it, he said. When they go off to bed, if there's fluoride on those teeth, it's going to help protect them through the night. The bottom line? Skipping the rinse after brushing with a fluoride-containing toothpaste, or rinsing lightly or delaying the rinse, allows the fluoride to stay on the teeth, providing added protection.